Good evening everyone, it is Christine and it is the end of the working week here, which is great. We had a public holiday on Tuesday, but it has been quite the busy week. So ready for the weekend and ready for some fun stitching projects. Now I had a question or a comment from Valerie on one of my Thrifty Thursday videos saying that she has a lot of the beautiful sort of items that I find, the laces and the doilies and other things, but not quite sure how to use them in her slow stitching projects. And so I was thinking about, okay, I can share some other pieces where I've done slow stitching and incorporated those items, but I also thought I might make a fun little project bag that I can store my stitching projects in progress in. This is an example of, which you might have seen in my other videos, the piece I'm working on with the bench seat and the cats. And it's also got my moonlit wildflower garden. And so it is still work in progress because I've still got to do a lot of the painting with thread on it. I usually keep them sort of rolled up like this, but I don't want it to get too much sunlight and I don't want it to get sort of caught on anything. And I want to just keep it a bit protected from dust and other things. So I've decided to make a little envelope style project bag that I can keep projects like this in. And let me just jump up so the chair is still a little bit squeaky. I'm planning to put these project bags in this little wire case, and I can have a few of them in there at the one time and can easily grab them out when I'm ready to work on them. So I'm going to let you know tonight how I'm approaching the task. That way, if you want to get some materials together yourself and stitch along with the next segment of it, you can do that. So what I've done is I've used some fabrics that I have as fabric samples from the Reverse Art Truck, which is one of my Thrifty Thursday sources. You can see plenty of videos where I share stashes and talk about the Reverse Art Truck, but basically they get fabric samples from industry. And these are beautiful cotton and linen fabric samples from Italy. So just lovely stuff. So what I've done is stitched two pieces of different sample together. Now I'll give you the measurements for this case, both in the folded up form, but then also the full fabric size measurements. And you could just use a single piece of fabric if you're not wanting to stitch bits of fabric together. Everything I'm doing is by hand. And the design I've gone with, I kind of pondered. You can make an envelope style by getting a square of fabric and then sort of turning it so you've got the pointed corners and then folding those edges in to make your envelope shape. I wanted to have something that would be a bit more sturdy, so I actually wanted this additional fabric incorporated down the sides, and I wanted to kind of create that shape with the bits that fold in. So you can see on the front where I've got that join in the fabric. So let me just measure so you've got sort of what you're working to if you decide to make one of this size. I'll give it in centimetres and then I'll convert it to inches in the description. So it is around 27 centimetres. Yeah, I reckon about 27, maybe 27.5 centimetres across. I better write these things down as I go. 27.5 centimetres across. Let me just double check that one. Yeah, thereabouts. And about 21 centimetres down. So let's just, so what I've also done is, as I've got it all folded up, I've ironed it. So now it's got some creases. So even when I unfold it all, I'll know where it is going to fold up again when I stitch it all together. But let me now just take out some of the pins, or take out all of the pins so that we can This is another one of my op shop finds, a lovely handmade pin cushion. And so inside the pouch, and we'll get to it in a moment, I've actually used some felt. Now it's a sort of a manufactured felt, and it's quite robust, so it's not super soft, so it's giving the little pouch some really good texture or sort of stability. I can probably, actually I'll leave those bits, and in fact this bit I could have left pinned as well, I think, for when we're doing the sewing. So basically I've just used a single piece of felt, which then folds and also just helps to give some good stability to the design. So I probably actually do need to unclip this end if I want to do a full measurement of the full size of the fabric. And while we've got it undone, I'll just show you the stitching I did across here. Was just putting the two edges of the fabric together with each edge folded over, so that we wouldn't have a raw edge, and then just did lots of little over stitches all the way along where those two bits joined up, and I used the lines to guide me so that I knew that it would be straight, and just did that all the way down just with a regular cotton or a polyester thread you can use. So let's just measure now. I don't think I'm all the way on the screen. Let's see if I can fit in, not quite. But I'm going to measure from the very top of the point. So that's 30 centimetres. Let me just hold my pen there. Another 30 centimetres. Down to there. And then, oops, just knocked a ribbon off. And then another 4 centimetres. So that's 64 centimetres lengthway for the blue and white fabric. And then I've got 30 centimetres to there. And 14 centimetres, so 44 centimetres. 44 centimetres width for the full size fabric. And then the piece of felt, again I'll have to just flip this up so I can measure it all the way down. So we have 30 centimetres to there and 12 centimetres down, so 42 centimetres felt in the length, and then the width of the felt is 27 centimetres. So I'll make sure I put those in the description. And let me just re-clipperoo this one, re-pin this one down. So, actually I'll pin this end down as well. It'll just help keep it in place. And I'll just show you again the theory for how it's all going to fold back up. Is that we bring this up, and I will, when I fold it, just try and get the fabric that's sort of at the base. I'll just move it over so hopefully you can see. And then I'm going to fold and make sure that these inner bits of fabric are folding in further than the ones around it. I'm going to fold the little ends over, and then I'm going to bring that over like that, and then I'm going to do the same on this side as well, and it's easier if you do pin it as you go along. And so that will be the ultimate design. So really the bits that I probably want to decorate, and this is where some of the op-shopped finds come in, is probably on the front, and I'm thinking maybe here, and maybe a couple of things on here, but I might even do this other back area decoration once it's all sewn together, I think. So let's now have a think about how we'd like to decorate the front, and this is where our fun op-shoppy finds come in. So I've got Travis fur in here. So these are some whitey coloured-ish ones of that were actually cut. I've still got it hanging up here. I've got to put it away properly. It was sorry, it was hanging up on my light. So it was a tablecloth that I got into chopping up, and that's what's in here. So let's just put that over there. So let's have a think and select out a few bits and pieces to have. I quite like that one. Could have that one. I'll keep both out, maybe one for the front and one for the back. So that's one bit of doily goodness to use. In terms of how you can use things like cut up embroideries, this is one, I think I might have got it not from the op shop but from Melanie, purveyor of Reclaimed Fabrics. And what you can do is fussy cut around sections of the embroidery. I'm thinking the blue could be quite nice for this. And it's a lovely fabric as well, so I just want to make sure I'm staying on screen. So what I might do, I can probably cut pretty fussy cutty from the get-go. So you just kind of work out how many bits. I'm going to probably go down and around this one down here. And so again, if you want to sew along with this, you could start to pick out some of the different decorations that you would like, because in the next video, I think we'll start to stitch the decorations down. May as well keep this one in there, I reckon. So I'll just do that in that format at the moment. I'll put the rest of it back into the stash. And then I've got some other, sorry, my chair is still squeaking. I did just give it a little spray. Got some other embroideries that I could use. Not sure yet about those ones. And I've got a tray of goodies over here, including, this was one of those pieces from that, that video that Valerie commented on. So this was where I got a whole lot of this lovely lace. I just love the edging on it as well. So I'm wondering if I would take a section of that as well. Let's have a little look at placement of it. Where would I maybe want it to go? Would I want to have a whole section of it, or is it just about picking out some of the flowers? I do like that sort of edging piece. So I'd wonder if and I do have a lot of it, so I don't need to be mean in my use of it. And I get to enjoy it if I actually put it on something like this that I am going to be looking at every day. So I reckon that might be nice to take that piece there. And I probably won't keep the ratty ends, although I could. But I think that could be really gorgeous down there. Hopefully you can see that. And don't worry too much if they're not exactly sort of, yeah, matching in colour tone, although these are pretty good. These are probably just a slight bit, sort of, yeah, got a slight bit of off-white in them. So I've got a thread hanging off from something. Put that in my Ort jar. So we're getting quite a bit of stuff there. I was thinking this one potentially could go on the back of the envelope, almost down over that area. But the only problem with that is it ends up covering up a lot of the back. So we'll keep that out to audition, but I think I have something else in my little stash of ready reckoners down here. I've got this one, which does have some sort of, it probably was glued to something at some point, but it's not really coming through to this side. There might be a slight little bit of yellowiness coming through, but that doesn't worry me. So this would be a smaller little accent on it. I do quite like, this one's a little bit more sort of shimmery, got a bit more shine to it. I do love the, yeah, the cut work effect. I would probably just cut it. So I don't think I would really get to, how would that go if that was sort of hanging beyond? Decisions there. Tough things when you've got beautiful things to play with. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the smaller one. All is not lost, so if you're watching this video, who knows, I might not have filmed the next one because I won't film that till tomorrow if I can get to it tomorrow. You can comment if you think I should be using the other one. But yeah, I think that's quite sweet. I've got these beading, where these beads pieces came from the Sewing Lair online op shop, so another thrifty find. I was thinking I could use that as a little closure, so you'd almost tuck the end in, but it's a bit too blingy, and I also want these to kind of be able to just pull out and pull in without having anything that catches them. And if I want to take them when I go traveling somewhere, I don't want them to be too heavy, and I also just want to kind of be able to sit with it on my lap, with it open that way, and just be able to reach in and get out like threads and other things that I might be keeping in there, and have just a little surface here or there where I can poke things in. So I think I won't use the beady piece, but that was fun to audition. Now I've got some stamped pieces. It's not a stamp piece, that's a piece cut out to look like a stamp, like a postage stamp. So I was thinking that I'd like to put a little label spot on the front. So let's just audition our labels. And let's put our lace back here so we have a sense of where that's going to potentially go to. So I might not even put the label fully center. Is that meant to, I don't know. I think it goes both ways, doesn't it? Probably that way. It's done with a blacky coloured ink. It probably would be slightly better, I don't know, with a blue, but I'm not going to get too fussed. I don't know if I've got a blue ink pad. And I was thinking of creating a little postage stampy thing up the top, whether it's with that or something else, I'm not sure. That's just some little written text, but I don't think I'll use that there. So yeah, probably I'd put I think I'd put the label somewhere like that, and I think I definitely prefer this label to the other one, so we'll put that other label aside. I probably should start pinning a few things down so I start to get a bit of a feel for the elements that I think I'm going to definitely use. That doesn't sound very definite, does it? You never know till you start stitching, and even when you're stitching sometimes you're like, I think I might just do something a bit different. But I'll pin these two down. And pin that little label down. Just try and put it in a not too obvious spot because I don't want to leave a mark in the fabric. To put that on straight when I do it. Okay, so that's starting to look a bit like that. I think that works. Now I might actually use a bit of this fabric to make the base for the stamp, so make an outside for the stamp. Let me just lean behind. So I think, where have I been cutting in? Here. And I'll need my pinking shear scissors, which are over here. And I'll want to try and cut out, I don't know if I want, just follow the grain of the fabric, I think might be the go. Although it does sort of, oh, is it sitting straightish? There we go. Oops, I've put some little bits and pieces on my work surface, but that's okay. So we could have that as the base of the stamp, and then whether I put something like this in the inside of the stamp. I don't mind it, it's got a few other colours on it, but I'll probably trim it down a smidge anyway. Let's just do it there. You can use those stamp shaped cutters as well that you can like use with paper crafts. I just find they're really yucky to cut with, so I actually prefer using my pinking shears. And I might need to even do a little stamp over the top of that so it looks like it's almost been postage. Probably should just take a smidge off. Sorry if I'm not talking loud enough. I find at the end of the week I feel like I've talked so much, and so I do lose a bit of my volume as I sit here. So thank you for bearing with me if I am talking too quietly. So I reckon that's a nice little fake stamp, a faux stamp. Now where's the fold going to go? I might just move it down a smidge. So I'm just pinning it through now through to just the first layer of the felt. Now I wonder where we want to put this. Would we want to have, don't want to go too overboard either. I do wonder that if I've got that lovely lace here, I've got a bit of blue there. I've got some other goodies here. But that's got the brown on it, so I don't think I'd use the brown feather. I had these ones from before. Also got some cute little buttons that have little flowers on them, and they've got a bit of blue in them. So they could be nice to use somewhere. And then I've got my lovely mother of pearl buttons from my most recent Thrifty Thursday stash, which I'm just still amazingly in love with. Some of them are more yellow and some of them are more white, but can you just see the amazing variation on them. It's just incredible. So that one's quite weighty white, so I'll pull that one out. And again, I shouldn't be stingy with these because when I counted them, there was a massive number. I think I've lost my piece of paper. I'd have to look back to how many were actually in here. I have started popping some in some little Happy Mail packages that I'll be sending out, sharing the love. So there's 3 of them. I like to do things in threes. A lot of us do the sort of the magic number of 3, or at least doing odd numbers. I've got some threads that I might use when we're stitching, but we can come back to threads tomorrow when we get down to stitching. Here's another one of those wooden beads. Got some little bits. This one was off a cardigan. I think I bought this cardigan in Italy originally, and it's actually got a little hook on it. But I'm wondering if that might be a nice element to maybe put across this corner, just so you've got vertical, horizontal elements to enjoy. Quite like that with it sort of behind it. And I'm actually wondering, would this be an element I might take around? So I might pin it on the front for now, but I might leave the length a bit longer and aside once we get to the back. What we want to do. Wondering. So maybe I should actually put it a bit further up. Where's that hook? I probably should take that off actually, so it's not in the way and so I don't start stitching down and then need to remove that one. So if you haven't watched the video of the amazing stash I got from a Facebook marketplace purchase of incredible vintage sewing finds, it was a lot of fun for me. Hopefully it's as fun for you watching. But I've had lots of lovely comments from folks just about how much they love the goodies. So I'll definitely be putting some of those in my 1,000 subscriber giveaway when we get to that point. So I'd love if you'd subscribe and then you can be in the running. So I'm just going to pin that approximately in the spot, trying not to stab myself. So that could potentially go over. Oops, don't want to lose my precious little buttons. You probably can't see those buttons, or you think you can just see those buttons up there. So that's probably enough on the front without going totally overboard. Whether ultimately I'll move this back a little bit, I'm not sure. It is a lovely piece though, and as I say, I just love these little sort of scalloped edges. And yeah, what I'd be doing with these labels on the front is I can actually write on them with the friction marker, which you can then remove by applying heat to it, either with an iron or a hairdryer. That could be even really cute. Sorry, I just got distracted. Would you do a scenario where you'd actually have a little tie? Probably not for this purpose because I'm wanting to keep them quite slim lined, I think. Although it's already getting quite frou-frou. So we thought, had we decided? I can't quite think whether we had decided or not. Are we putting that one on, or are we going to put? I think we had decided that one, hadn't we? Now I'm still not sure. I almost feel like I need to see this taken off the fabric, but then we lose that little bit of cut work. But I think I will. I'm going to. Let's do that. I need to see it in situ. if I want to keep these little top bits of cut work, I'll probably need to leave a bit of a margin around them. And whether I do try, and maybe I'll try first of all to keep this other bit up here. I'm not sure if it's going to fit though. Just go broader around it for now. So it can be hard with some of these pieces to actually cut into them, but once you start cutting and once you start sort of harvesting bits from them, then it's a lot easier from that point on. And really, if you've bought them for the purpose of using them in your crafting activities, particularly if they've got little stains or damage, or if they're multiples and you only want to sort of keep one, or you don't actually have a purpose for it other than in your crafting, then yeah, it's much better to use it and enjoy it than not to use it. So I could actually go down. So yeah, I don't think I'll keep that upper piece in there. I can probably come a little bit closer to these pieces. Probably should use my finer scissors for this. But these ones are beautifully sharp, so they, even though they're big, they feel nice and stable. Okay, I'm going to keep that little piece because who knows what that might be good for. Oops. Of course it's not going to stay if I hold it up. So it could look like, I'm just going to pin it on so I can get the full effect. So it could look like that, which is sweet. I do like that. Just making sure you can still see. Okay. Or we can go with this. Which shows more of the backing. But I think we're going to put that aside and we're going to go with this one. And I might even let it sit a bit further down than even this piece. Because it kind of then just adds an extra interesting structural detail, I think. Okay, and then maybe wondering where this piece goes, or do I add it once I've, let's make sure I'm still in screen. Would that possibly get added afterwards, or do I just cut round one of them? I'm thinking maybe I just keep these two, in which case I will need to do a very fussy cut. Just using my little embroidery scissors. funny, I think of us sort of cutting up these past lovingly embroidered pieces, and then I sort of wonder about our pieces of slow stitch and what's ultimately going to happen to those, and what future generations will make of them, and will people even be doing handcrafts in the future, or will 3D printing and other things. I hope people will always enjoy this pleasure, because there's nothing like the pleasure of slow stitch. I just honestly believe that. I don't see myself ever stopping unless I physically can't actually do it, because the pleasure I derive from it is just, it's huge. And just the relaxation, and yeah, I just look forward so much to my time in the evening when I get to come into my craft room and just, yeah, really enjoy. So I think that's pretty sweet there. I've got a range of other things that I could consider. We've got the buttons still to put on. I've got these little bits of writing, but maybe one of those could end up over there. I think that would be quite cute, and maybe one even of my little stamped bits of fabric over here. So these are just ones stamped with a, I'd have to check what inks they were with, but they're essentially an ink that's, I think, made for like scrapbooking and things. But it's, I don't know if it's washable, but I'm not planning to wash these pockets, these envelopes, so that won't be an issue. So I don't think I'll use that one. I've got some blue glitzy lace, which I think was from the sewing layer, but I don't know if I need, unless I put some lace underneath one of these. It's got a little bit of staining there. Could be kind of cool under one of those. I might just take an extra bit because of the staining. I've also got this trim. I just pulled out a few random trims to have a play with, but it's a bit more of a yellowy lace, so I don't think so to that one. I've got some little embroidery on glay, and this one again's got a little bit of staining on it, but you can always dye that. But I don't know if I need that, because I think we've got that decorative element, so I don't think that's required. Having a look what else I've got in my stash. Got some sweet little edging laces. Again, that's something, if you have, in terms of ideas for how you use your things, if you've got a little lacy corner of a hanky or a doily like that, that's triangular, if you're making these, you could put that in there as well. I've got this, I think it's called, is it called GIMP? GIMP's a funny word. I think it might be called GIMP. Let's just get this pinned down. What else end up in a bit of a mess when you're just throwing things to the side and you're like, where's my trusty pins? So I'll just roughly pin it down for now so we get the idea. I might just pin it's annoying me not having these sort of folded over properly. Just get that pinned down and that, like that. Let's do the same on this side. Had another little white crochet with little bobbly bits on it, but I don't think I'm going to use that. But I do have some sweet little flowers and other things which I could use. But let's just pop this one down there for now. Put my little flowers over with my buttons. I don't think I'm going to use that one, so I'll put that over to the side. So what I was thinking, and it's similar to the theory I had for that beaded piece before, is I could always put a piece of something over that you could then tuck this piece under. So let's just have a little play with that as a concept. Don't know if this is too heavy, and I don't know if it's actually needed. Maybe that's what I go back to. Sometimes less is more, not more is more. If I'm traveling with it, yes, I could actually put a little press stud down here. But I think for the most case, when I've got it at home, I'm just going to flip it, well, not totally open because I'll have these bits sewn down. Oops, it's falling out. I'm probably just going to flip it open, get out what I need, and then flip that back, and it's going to be standing up, and so that will actually work pretty well as it is. So I don't think I actually need to worry about putting, and I just think that's going to be too heavy of an element. So I reckon that's enough for now, and we'll end up putting some buttons on, but I'll probably leave those to the very end. What else have I got over here? I've got a little bow as well, but again, I'll keep that with my buttons for the finishing touches. So let's just have a look at where we're up to with our design. So we've got a stamp, a label, some nice laciness, and in fact I might even need to move this one over a smidge, I think, when I do it, possibly. Just have it let's do it now, otherwise I'll forget. Let's pop it over there. I hate having pins in work because I always end up prickling myself, but unfortunately it's kind of a necessary evil at this point as we're moving things around. Don't even feel like I got that much further over. So that will be the front, I think. I like that. Bit of texture, but not too heavy. It all looks a bit messy at the moment because it's all flopping around. And then, would I want to have this bit coming over from the front? That could be cute, so I think we might leave that in play as an option. So I'll just pin that for now. Will it pin for me? That is the question. And then we're going to have this forming, forming a bit of a piece over there. Yeah, I don't know if I need the lace. I'll assess the lace. I'll look at it fresh tomorrow and assess whether we need that lace. So I reckon that's all for today. Yeah, I'll leave that. Won't cut that yet because just in case we only need the more narrow piece, so I won't break up that length. But I think that's going to be really, really cute. And we can also do some other over sort of cantha stitching, lines of running stitch, other decorative stitching on it as well, just to add some interesting elements. And we'll be sort of stitching over the border of all these pieces anyway to stitch them down, and that will have the added benefit also of stitching the outer fabric to the felt bits. And a bit of my thinking in overlapping the fabric down is so that when the pouch is sort of like that, you still see the fabric, you don't see the felt. And you could, if you really wanted, use even longer bits so that the fabric sort of goes further down. So I hope you're a bit inspired. I hope you're sort of seeing another idea. If you do have project pieces that you want to be able to keep in here, I should probably give you the measurements of the project piece as well. This is my Roxy journal piece. So it's around 20 centimetres, and that's got, as you can see, that's got plenty of room there to be fitting in and to be able to throw in other things like your cottons, even to be able to put in your scissors in a little sheath. You'll have plenty of room, and to throw in things like buttons and other things. You could put a smaller little pouch in there. But I love the idea with this is that you could also put it in your handbag, if you've got a handbag sort of large enough, or your little satchel, and have it just standing up as well. So I will see you hopefully tomorrow for the next video for this one, although I might end up posting by the time this posts, it might be tomorrow. And so yeah, just stand by. If you want to stitch along, get the materials together, get some decorative pieces, and then we can stitch it all together and embellish it together. So it might be another 1 or 2 videos, we'll just see how long it takes us. Take care everyone, bye.